James Aldridge here in a snowy York with Fleet Risk Management Nugget for you. Hope you can take these snippets of best practice and reduce your fleet costs, stop collisions and keep your drivers in one piece. This week it was reported that alcohol related deaths were up by 16% over the first 9 months of 2020. The death toll was the worst it's been since 2001, that's when those records started. We don't know exactly how the pandemic has impacted those numbers, but the correlation is clear. Last year, the Department for Transport reported that 1 in 20 crashes involved a drunk driver. The relationship between alcohol levels in the blood and both the collision rate and the probability of having a crash are exponential. There isn't any aspect of our ability to drive safely that isn't negatively affected by alcohol. It used to be the case that it would be a young single man that was most likely to be a drink driver, but that's not the case anymore. In the UK, the number of women convicted for drink driving has risen significantly. Studies show that the prevalence of drink driving amongst drivers of large commercial vehicles is low. They know that their livelihood depends on being sober behind the wheel. However, the prevalence is much higher amongst car and van drivers. We also know that from research, our awareness of alcohol impairment can't be relied on. People think they're okay when they're actually above the legal limit. In fact, a US study has revealed that a drink driver will have driven whilst over the limit on 200 to 2,000 occasions for each time they're arrested for drink driving. It could be the case that you have employees who have been feeling anxious and stressed due to the pandemic, and maybe they've been on furlough and their alcohol consumption has increased. When they return to work, they could have developed an alcohol misuse problem. So what do you do to keep an eye out for those drivers as they return to work? Here are a few things to look for. Frequent absences and absences that don't appear to have a good reason is the first thing to look for. Being late for work, arriving at work smelling of alcohol, that's an obvious one. Excessive use of chewing gum and breath fresheners, changes in behaviour such as deteriorating relationships with colleagues, a lack of focus, neglecting personal appearance, unexplained poor performance in hitting targets, poor conduct generally, and erratic behaviour and unreliability. And finally, just look out for general signs of stress. Now, if an employee turned up to work under the influence, your alcohol and drug policy would need to kick in and you'd need to send them home in a taxi and start an HR investigation. But what if they're turning up sober and you have that suspicion that they're drinking a lot more than they used to? You'll need to talk to employees, keep that communication going as they return to work, judge their level of well-being, monitor the situation and gather evidence. And the return to work process may need to be tailored to reduce stress levels. What do you say if you have those concerns? Here are 10 ideas. First of all, find a location where you won't be disturbed and turn your phone off for that important conversation. Number 2, tell your employee that conversations are completely confidential and start by asking how they're doing. Number 3, don't talk about addiction. That has negative connotations. Number 4, mention that you've noticed that they're struggling and initially expect them to deny any problems. Number 5, remind your employee of the content of your drug and alcohol policy, and requesting the employee to undertake a medical assessment may be the next step. Number 6, provide a supportive approach. Alcohol misuse should be seen as an illness. Number 7, use facts like how many days they've been late for work or absent from work. And number 8, remember that dealing with this problem needs a balance of support and disciplinary approach, but remind them that their job could be at risk because driving is a safety critical activity. Number 9, ask about stress levels and what may be causing the problem. There could be changes you can make at work that reduces those stress levels. Number 10, a key issue is to refer your employee to an occupational health service or employee assistance program. If you just tell them to go and see their GP, you won't know whether they've been or not. what could be a good approach post-lockdown is a general initiative to support employees in respect of alcohol misuse. Why not ask your employees to complete a health check questionnaire administered by an occupational health service? You could also remind them of your alcohol and drug policy and signpost them to sources of confidential help. An important thing to remember is that as a manager, you shouldn't be expected to take responsibility for helping an employee kick their alcohol misuse problem, simply because you won't have the expertise. You need to use appropriately qualified experts. I hope these tips have been useful. If you need assistance with managing your driving at work activities, please contact me at james@fleetsafetyacademy.co.uk. Thank you.